Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we are going to explore something wonderfully gentle and a little mysterious, something that lives right at the edge of the mind and the body, in that soft golden space where thought becomes feeling. We are going to talk about the placebo effect. And before you think that sounds too scientific or too serious for a sleepy evening, let me tell you, it is one of the most peaceful, beautiful things that science has ever discovered about human beings. It is, in many ways, a story about the quiet power of believing, about how the mind, when it is calm and open and trusting, can lean gently into the body and whisper something kind. So, breathe in slowly, and let's begin. Imagine a meadow in early morning. The grass is still damp. The air smells like green things and distant rain. You're walking very slowly through it, and with every step, your feet press softly into the earth. There is a word in science, placebo, that comes from Latin. It means simply, I shall please. It was a word used in old prayers, in old songs, a word that meant, I will bring comfort, I will be here, and that is exactly what the placebo effect does. It brings comfort, quietly and without fuss, from somewhere deep inside you. The first thing to know is that a placebo is not a trick. Scientists used to think of it that way, as something that fooled the body, a kind of gentle deception. But research over many decades has shown something far more interesting. The placebo effect is a real, measurable, physical response. When a person believes that something will help them, their body often begins to respond as if it already has. Not imagined, not pretended, real. The brain releases actual chemicals. The nervous system shifts. The body, in its quiet and ancient wisdom, begins to move toward ease. Think of it like the way a cat settles before it falls asleep. It circles once, twice, pressing the ground beneath it, as if to say, yes, this is safe, this is good. And then it simply lets go. The body knows how to follow belief into rest. In one early study, people who were given a plain sugar pill, nothing more than a small white tablet made of sugar and pressed powder, reported feeling genuinely better. Not all of them, but a remarkable number. Their pain softened, their anxiety quieted. Some of them slept more easily. And the scientists who were watching said, what is this? What is happening here? They didn't have the answers yet, but they knew they were looking at something real. Placebos come in many forms, and this is a lovely thing to know. They are not always pills. A placebo can be a gentle touch. It can be the calm voice of someone who believes they are helping you. It can be a beautiful little ritual, the way you fold a blanket before bed, or the way you make tea slowly, watching the water change color. Any act that carries with it the belief, this will help me, this is for me, this is safe. That belief alone can begin to soften things. Water, for example, has been used as a placebo in studies. Plain, clear, still water, given to someone with the warm suggestion that it might ease their discomfort. And sometimes it does. Not because water is magic, though there is something close to magic in the way it moves and holds and reflects. But because the mind, receiving the water as a gift of care, begins to arrange itself around that care, scientists notice something else too. The color of a placebo seems to matter. Red ones and orange ones are often experienced as more stimulating. People feel more alert. Blue and green ones are often experienced as more calming. People feel more relaxed. Isn't that lovely? The body listens to color the way it listens to light. The way you feel different under the gold of late afternoon sun than you do under the blue-white of a winter sky. And size matters too in the most charming way. A larger pill tends to produce a stronger placebo response than a smaller one, as if the body reasons, well, if they've given me something so substantial, it must be doing quite a lot. The mind is quietly logical in its own dreamy way. It reads the size and shape of things and draws its gentle conclusions. There is a warmth in this if you let yourself feel it. The body is not passive. It is not simply waiting to be acted upon. It is listening. It is interpreting. It is doing its very best always to move toward something like comfort. And when it receives a signal, even a simple, quiet one, that says, help is here, something in it reaches toward that signal, the way a plant turns slowly toward a window. You might like to share this story with someone who loves falling asleep to something soothing. And if this kind of gentle science brings you peace, do leave a little like or a comment below. It means so much, and it helps others find their way here too. The brain has something called the reward system, a soft, humming web of pathways that light up when something good is expected. When you look forward to something pleasant, those pathways begin to glow a little, like fireflies in warm grass. And a placebo in many ways simply activates that system. Expectation itself is a kind of gentle medicine. The anticipation of ease is already the beginning of ease. Think of the way you feel when you are almost home after a long day. You haven't arrived yet. Your door is still around the corner, but already something in you releases just a little. The shoulders drop. The breath deepens. The body knows what is coming, and it starts to prepare. In a study from the 1970s, a now famous one, researchers found that the placebo effect could be blocked. If they gave people a placebo and then gave them a drug that prevents the brain from releasing its own natural pain-relieving chemicals, the placebo stopped working. This was extraordinary. It meant that the placebo effect was not just in the mind in some vague, floating sense. It was in the chemistry. The brain, believing relief was coming, was actually releasing its own real painkillers. The placebo was the key that opened that door. These natural painkillers are called endorphins, a word that is almost musical if you say it slowly. Endorphins. They are the same chemicals that are released when you laugh, when you exercise gently, when you feel warmth on your skin, when you are held by someone who loves you. The body has always had them. It is simply waiting for the right moment to let them go. And here is something truly soft and beautiful to carry with you toward sleep. In some studies, placebos have worked even when people knew they were taking a placebo. Researchers told participants honestly, "This is a sugar pill. It has no active ingredient." And a significant number of people still felt better. Open-label placebos, they are called. And they work. As if simply participating in the ritual of care, the taking of something, the intention behind it, the attention paid, is itself enough to move the body gently in the direction of ease. The moonflower opens at night. It doesn't need to be told to. It simply responds to darkness and to the quiet, to the absence of the day's noise and heat. And the body, perhaps, is not so different. Given the right conditions, calm, ritual, belief, care, it opens too, slowly, trustingly. A single candle in a dark room changes everything. It doesn't fight the dark. It simply offers a small, steady warmth. And the room, and the person in it, arranges itself around that warmth. That is what belief does. That is what the placebo effect is at its softest and most essential. A candle the mind lights for the body. Let your breathing slow a little more now. You don't have to do anything with these ideas. Just let them rest with you like stones warming in afternoon sun. We are only at the beginning of this story, and there is so much more that is gentle and interesting ahead. The placebo effect is not one single thing scientists have found. It is more like a family, a quiet, related collection of responses. Some placebos work through expectation, some through conditioning. The body has learned through past experience that a certain act or object brings relief. And so it repeats that response even when the object changes. Some work through the warmth of human attention. Some work through all three at once. A study of patients recovering from surgery found something tender. Those who were given extra time and attention from their care providers, warm conversation, careful listening, the simple gift of being seen, recovered more smoothly and comfortably than those who received the same medical care but less personal attention. The attention itself was doing something, not imagined, measurable. And that is a thought worth carrying very gently into the night. That care, real warm, quiet care, has a physical presence. It does something to us. It changes our chemistry. It softens the edges of discomfort. It reminds the body that it is not alone in whatever it is moving through. The stars, when you look at them on a clear, cold night, are not doing anything for you in any direct sense. They are simply there, burning quietly millions of miles away. And yet, something in you settles when you see them. Something names them. Safe. Old. Here before me. Here after me. And the body, hearing that, releases something it has been holding. Rest now in this first part of our story. In the next, we will go deeper into the science of how the brain creates its own relief and what the color of a hospital room has to do with how quickly you heal. For now, just breathe. Just let the meadow be quiet around you. The light is softer now. Imagine it golden and low, coming through the trees at the hour just before evening truly arrives. That slow, honey-colored hour when the world seems to hold its breath between day and night. Everything is still. Even the leaves are still. We were talking about the placebo effect, that quiet, real, measurable response that the body gives when the mind believes help has arrived. And now, let us go a little further in, the way you might walk deeper into a forest, not hurrying, just following the path as it winds between the trees. One of the most beautiful things scientists have discovered is that the placebo effect is not the same for everyone, and it is not the same in every situation. And this is not a weakness, but a richness. It means the mind-body connection is alive and responsive and individual, like a river that finds its own way through the landscape. Some people are what researchers call high placebo responders. Their nervous systems are particularly tuned to the signals of care and expectation. When they receive a placebo, something in them shifts more easily, more completely. Not because they are naive or easily fooled, quite the opposite. Studies have found that high placebo responders often have very active, very sensitive nervous systems. They feel things more fully. They are, in a sense, more awake to the world around them. Think of a spider's web in morning dew. Each thread responds to the faintest movement of air. It is not fragile. It is exquisitely sensitive. And that sensitivity is its gift. The environment around us shapes the placebo effect more than you might imagine. A study once compared patients who received the same placebo in two different rooms, one plain and clinical and slightly cold, the other warm and softly lit with the plants and natural light. The patients in the warmer room reported significantly more relief. The room itself was part of the treatment. The color of the walls, the presence of something living and green, the quality of the light, all of it was received by the body as information, as a message that said, "You are in a good place. You are cared for here." This is why so many healing traditions throughout history have involved beauty. Temples with high ceilings and colored light, gardens, music, incense that fills the air with something that smells like earth or flowers. These were not decorations. They were part of how healing worked. The body listens to beauty the way it listens to kindness. Lavender fields in the south of France stretch for miles in summer, long purple rows that seem to breathe. The scent drifts for great distances, and it has been known for centuries and confirmed by research that lavender has a calming effect on the nervous system. But here is the interesting thing. Part of that effect is pharmacological. The compounds in the plant do something real to the brain. And part of it is the placebo of lavender. All the associations, all the times you have heard that lavender is calming, all the context of gardens and softness and sleep that surrounds it. The two things cannot easily be separated. The belief and the botany work together. The word medicine comes from the same root as meditation, both tracing back to a Latin word that meant to attend to care for, to be present with. Isn't that a lovely thing to know? That at the root of medicine is simply attention, simply being present with something. If you are enjoying this kind of quiet science, do check out the full playlist on this channel. There are other soft stories waiting there about forests and deep ocean and the slow life of stones. Everything is waiting patiently for you whenever you need it. Scientists studying the placebo effect have spent a great deal of time thinking about ritual, because ritual, it turns out, is one of the most powerful carriers of placebo response. A ritual is a series of actions performed with intention and attention. And that combination of intention and attention is deeply calming to the nervous system. Consider the ritual of making tea. It is not just the tea that helps. It is the filling of the kettle, the sound of water beginning to heat, the choosing of a cup, this one with the small blue flowers on the rim, the waiting, the pouring, the wrapping of hands around warmth. Each step signals to the body something good is coming, something gentle, something for you. And the body, attentive as always, begins to respond before the tea even reaches your lips. A fascinating study gave people either a real painkiller or a placebo, and some of the participants received their pill in an elaborate ritual. A white coat, careful instructions, measured solemnity, while others received theirs in a very casual, quick way. The placebo given with ceremony worked significantly better than the placebo given carelessly. And the real painkiller worked better with ceremony too. The ritual, the care, the sense of significance. It added something to everything. Somewhere in the Amazon, deep in the cool green interior of the rainforest, traditional healers have practiced plant medicine for thousands of years. And researchers who have studied these traditions notice something interesting. The healing sessions are long and involve music and involve the community being present and involve elaborate ritual and preparation. Whether or not the plants themselves have chemical effects, and many do, the ceremony surrounding them is itself a powerful act of care, a signal to the body that it is being attended to by people who have done this many times before and who know the way through. Children often respond more strongly to placebos than adults do, not because they are easier to trick, but perhaps because they are more open, more trusting, more willing to believe that something good is about to happen. There is something a little wistful about that. The older we get, the more we wrap ourselves in skepticism like a coat, which protects us in some ways, but perhaps also keeps out some of the warmth. A stone that has been warmed in sunlight holds its warmth for a long time after the sun has moved on. Press your palm against it in the early evening, and it gives back what the day gave it. The body, too, holds warmth given to it. It holds the warmth of a kind word, of careful attention, of the ritual that says, "You matter, this matters." Let us proceed with gentleness. The nocebo effect is the quiet shadow of the placebo, worth knowing about so that we can move past it gently. A nocebo effect occurs when negative expectation produces a negative physical response. When someone believes a harmless substance will make them feel unwell, sometimes it does. The same mechanism works in both directions. Which means if you follow that thread toward the light, what we expect has enormous power over what we experience. And expectation is something, over time, that we can learn to tend, not by force, not by pretending, but by slowly, gently, building more experiences of ease, more rituals of comfort, more moments where the body learns. In this situation, I can let go. I am safe here. The evening star appears before all the others. It is always the first, patient and bright and steady. And there is something the body recognizes in steadiness, in something that is there reliably when the sky darkens. It is not the brightness of the star that calms. It is its reliability, its being there. Trust, scientists think, is one of the most important ingredients in a placebo response. Not blind trust, not trust born of helplessness, but the ordinary, warm, earned trust that comes from feeling cared for by someone who is paying attention. And this is why the relationship between a patient and their doctor has itself been shown to have measurable healing effects, independent of any treatment. The relationship is the medicine. A river does not arrive at the sea quickly. It takes the long way. It bends and slows and sometimes pools in still, quiet places before moving on. And this too is a kind of trust, the river's trust that the path exists, that the sea is there, that the moving is worth it. The body healing, the body moving toward ease, takes the long way sometimes too. And that is not failure. That is simply how living things move. In the next part of our story, we will look at what happens inside the brain during a placebo response. The real, visible, measurable changes in brain activity that have been caught by scanning technology, glowing like slow constellations on a dark screen. It is one of the most quietly extraordinary things that science has ever shown us. But for now, breathe. Let the golden light settle around you. You don't have to be anywhere or do anything. The story will be here, soft and slow, whenever you are ready. The world outside has grown quieter, even if there is still some sound. A distant car, the settling of a building, someone moving in another room. It is far away. You are in your own still place now, warm, safe, held by whatever is beneath you. Let's go somewhere cool and green for a moment. A place where a stream runs over smooth gray stones and the sound of it fills everything. A gentle, continuous sound that the mind finds deeply restful because it is constant and soft and asks nothing of you. Just a stream, just water moving in its ancient, unhurried way. The placebo effect, when looked at through a brain scanner, is one of the most remarkable things modern neuroscience has ever observed. Because it is not vague, it is not invisible. It shows up in bright, specific patterns on the scans, certain regions lighting up, others quieting, the whole system reorganizing itself around the belief that something good is happening. When a person receives a placebo and believes it will relieve pain, the part of the brain involved in experiencing pain begins to quiet down. The anterior cingulate cortex, a region that processes the emotional weight of pain, the suffering part of pain, rather than just the raw signal, becomes less active. The body is genuinely turning down the volume on something that was too loud. Imagine a room where the music is too bright, too sharp, and then someone turns a small dial, barely visibly, and the music softens to something that you can actually rest inside. That is what the brain is doing, turning its own dial. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that thinks, that makes meaning, that says, this will be okay, is very active during a strong placebo response. It is sending signals downward through the hierarchy of the nervous system, all the way down to where pain and discomfort are registered. And those signals say, ease now. You can ease now. There is a whole system in the brain, the descending pain modulation system, whose entire purpose is to regulate how much pain the brain lets through to consciousness. It is always there, always working. And placebos, researchers believe, activate it more fully, like turning on a deeper layer of the body's own lights. The research here has a specific texture of wonder to it, because it shows that the boundary between mind and body, if that boundary was ever really there, is something much softer and more permeable than we imagined. The mind is not separate from the body, looking down at it from some distant tower. It is woven through it. It is in the chemistry of every tissue, the electricity of every nerve. When the mind shifts, the body shifts with it, immediately and honestly. Bioluminescent creatures in the deep ocean, tiny jellyfish, small worms, drifting organisms, carry their own light with them through the dark. They produce it from within. It is not borrowed light. It is their own. And the body, in a placebo response, is doing something like that, producing its own relief, its own ease from within. The placebo was the signal, but the light was always there. A 2004 study used brain scanning to look at what happened when people with Parkinson's disease were given a placebo. Parkinson's involves a loss of dopamine, a chemical the brain uses for movement and for the experience of reward and motivation. And the placebo triggered a real, measurable release of dopamine into specific areas of the brain. Not a huge surge, but a real one. The brain, told that help was coming, began to prepare its own welcome. Dopamine moves through the brain like a warm current through water. It carries a sense of possibility, of anticipation, of the world being a place where good things happen. When it flows, the body moves more freely. Things feel more manageable. The edges of difficulty soften. And a placebo, in some real sense, invites that current to move. If any of this is giving you a warm feeling, a sense of quiet wonder, you're very welcome to leave a comment. It truly is a joy to read them, and it helps this little channel reach more people who might need a soft place to rest. The hippocampus, a small curved structure deep in the brain, shaped a little like a seahorse, plays a role in placebo responses related to memory. Because part of how a placebo works through conditioning is through memory. The body remembers. The last time I was in this situation, relief came. And so it begins to prepare that relief before it has even arrived. The hippocampus holds those memories, those associations of care and ease, and offers them forward like someone who always knows where the path is. In children with asthma, a fascinating study found that inhalers with no medication still improved breathing. The ritual of the inhaler, the holding, the breathing in, the specific sensation, had been so thoroughly associated with relief that the body began to produce that relief through the association alone. The inhaler was a key the body recognized, and behind the door it opened was the body's own capacity to ease the breath. The breath. Let's stay with that for a moment. You are breathing right now, slowly, your chest rising and falling without any effort. The body handles breathing mostly by itself, the brainstem keeping the rhythm going through waking and sleeping and every state in between. And when the breath slows, everything slows. The heart follows, the muscles soften, the nervous system shifts toward its rest and digest state, away from the alert and ready state. A slow breath is itself a kind of placebo, a ritual of calm that the body receives as a signal. Things are all right. There is no emergency here. You can soften now. Terpenes are the compounds in plants that create their distinctive scents. The smell of pine on a cold morning, the sweetness of lime blossom in a summer garden, the green, slightly sharp smell of a forest after rain. Research has found that some terpenes have measurable calming effects on the nervous system. But the expectation of calm, the association of forest air with peace and naturalness, adds something to those chemical effects. Again, the pharmacy and the belief working together, inseparable. A Japanese practice called Shinrin-yoku, sometimes translated as forest bathing, involves spending quiet, unhurried time among trees. Studies of people who practice it show lower cortisol levels, lower heart rates, lower blood pressure. Something about the forest does something to the body, the cool air, the complex network of scents, the quality of light filtered through leaves, and the belief carried in the practice itself, in the deliberate choice to be there, that this will help, that nature is good for you, that this is where the body remembers itself. We carry so many beliefs about what will harm us and what will help us, accumulated over a lifetime, absorbed from the people around us, from culture, from experience. Most of them we are not even aware of. They operate quietly, shaping our nervous system's responses to the world. And this is not something to worry about. It is simply the way we are built, meaning-making creatures, reading the world and adjusting ourselves accordingly. And here is something that takes a moment to settle. If the placebo effect is real and measurable and involves the brain doing genuinely useful things, releasing pain-relieving chemicals, turning down the volume on suffering, opening the door to the body's own healing capacities, then it is not something to be dismissed or embarrassed about. It is something to be curious about, something to treat with respect, the way you treat a spring that produces clean water even though you cannot quite see where it comes from. The moon affects the tides, that great slow breathing of the ocean in and out. not because the moon is doing something violent or dramatic, but because it is there, exerting its quiet pull, and the ocean responds. The mind, too, exerts a quiet pull on the body, and the body, responsive as water, moves toward it. In the next part, we will follow the placebo into the world of dreams and sleep. Because yes, placebos have been studied in the context of sleep too, and what they reveal is soft and interesting and very fitting for this hour. For now, let the stream keep moving over its smooth stones. Let the sound of it fill whatever space you have made for quiet tonight. You are doing wonderfully. You are already, perhaps, a little more still than when we began. Something has changed in the air. You may not be able to say exactly what, only that the quality of the evening has shifted. The way light changes from one shade of gold to something cooler and softer as evening deepens toward night. We were talking about the brain, about the real visible changes a placebo can create inside it. And now I want to take you somewhere even softer, into the territory of sleep itself. Sleep is one of the great mysteries of being alive. We spend a third of our lives in it, and yet science is still, slowly, learning what it is for and how it works. What we do know is that sleep is not passive. The brain during sleep is extraordinarily active, consolidating memories, clearing metabolic waste, regulating emotion, restoring the immune system, doing quiet maintenance work that the busyness of waking life does not allow. And sleep, like pain, like mood, like so many things, responds to the placebo effect. In studies where people were told they had slept well, even when their sleep had been objectively disrupted or shortened, they performed better on cognitive tests. They felt more alert. They reported feeling more rested. The belief that they had slept well did something. Not everything. A severely sleep-deprived person cannot think their way into full restoration. But in the borderlands, in the region of moderate sleep, what you believe about how you slept shapes how the day feels. This is not the same as saying sleep doesn't matter. It matters enormously. But it does tell us something gentle. The story we tell ourselves about our night shapes our morning. The body listens to that story. A field of wheat at dusk is an extraordinary thing to imagine. The long, pale gold stalks moving very slightly in a warm wind, a soft collective sound like breathing. Each stalk is doing something, responding to the light, responding to the air, responding to the warmth of the earth beneath it. And from a distance, the whole field seems to breathe as one. The placebo effect and sleep share something important. They both work better in the presence of calm expectation. A person who approaches sleep with anxiety, watching the clock, calculating how many hours are left, rehearsing how tired they will feel tomorrow, creates a nervous system state that makes sleep harder. The body, reading the anxiety, prepares for alert wakefulness rather than rest, whereas someone who approaches the bed with a kind of trusting expectation, this is where I sleep, this is what I do now, rest is coming, gives the body a gentler signal to follow. Ritual, again, the ritual of sleep, the specific pillow. the particular weight of a blanket, the sequence of small acts that mark the transition from the bright world to the dark, restful one. The body learns these sequences and begins to prepare for sleep before sleep actually arrives. The eyelids grow heavy, the muscles soften, the thoughts begin to loosen from their connections. The body, reading the ritual, starts to cross the threshold before you have quite decided to. A moth, drawn to a lamp on a summer evening, circles slowly, closer and closer in that patient, unhurried spiral. There is something almost meditative about it, the circling approach, the gradual closing in. And sleep is something like that. You approach it in spirals, not directly. You move toward it by creating the conditions for it, by trusting it, by not chasing it. In one of the most interesting placebo sleep studies, participants were given capsules containing only milk powder and told they were a new natural sleep aid. Their sleep, measured by sensors, showed modest but real improvements. Slightly faster falling asleep, slightly more time in deeper sleep stages. Something in the brain, expecting rest, leaned a little more fully into the conditions for rest. Melatonin is the hormone the body releases in response to darkness, a gentle chemical signal that says, the light is going, the day is ending, it is time. And researchers have found that just the act of dimming lights in the evening can nudge the body toward melatonin release. The ritual of dimming, the signal it sends, is part of how the system works. The environment and the expectation together coax the chemistry into motion. If this feels like a good place to rest, you're right, it is. If your eyes are already growing heavier, let them. The story will still be here. And do remember that there is a whole playlist of stories just like this one, waiting gently on this channel for all the nights you need somewhere soft to go. The color blue, when people look at it before sleep, has been associated with easier falling asleep in some research. Not all blues. A harsh electric blue has the opposite effect, which is part of why the light from screens can disrupt sleep. But soft blues, like the sky just after sunset, like the color of shallow seawater over pale sand, these are colors the nervous system reads as calm, as safe, as the kind of color that precedes darkness and is therefore associated with the coming of rest. Lavender again. The smell of it in a room has been found to shorten the time it takes to fall asleep, to increase slow-wave sleep, the deep, restorative kind, and to increase the feeling of being well-rested in the morning. Some of this is the chemistry of lavender working on the nervous system, and some of it is the expectation, the learned association, the soft voice of culture saying, lavender is for sleep, lavender is for rest. Warm milk is a placebo in many households. The tryptophan in it does not, by most scientific accounts, reach the brain in high enough quantities to produce significant sleepiness. And yet, warm milk before bed is experienced by many people as genuinely calming. The warmth, the softness, the ritual of the cup, the association with childhood, with being cared for, with the gentleness of the end of a day. The body receives all of this and begins to settle. There is a term in sleep science, sleep hygiene, which sounds rather clinical, but is really just a collection of rituals and conditions that support sleep. A cool room, a dark room, a quiet room, regular times for sleeping and waking. These things work partly because of their direct physical effects, and partly because they become the body's signal. This is sleep time. All the parts of the brain associated with sleep preparation begin to activate as the conditions are met. Expectation and environment working together once more. The sound of rain on a roof is one of the most universally beloved sounds in the world. Surveys and studies and simple observation all confirm it. People find rain at night deeply soothing, partly because it creates what researchers call pink noise, a particular distribution of sound frequencies that the brain finds restful, partly because it is constant and predictable and asks nothing of you, and partly because of its associations of shelter, of warmth inside while the world outside is wet, of being held inside a dry, safe place while something ancient and natural happens all around. The body is old, older in its design than any house or city or name we might give it. It carries in its chemistry millions of years of life, adapting to the rhythms of light and dark, wet and dry, warm and cold. And when we offer it those rhythms, darkness when it is time for darkness, quiet when it is time for quiet, warmth when warmth is needed, it recognizes them. It leans into them. Something in its oldest self says, yes, this. Now I know where I am. The placebo effect in the context of sleep is perhaps most simply this. The body wants to sleep. It is designed for sleep. It moves towards sleep given the chance. Our task, or perhaps our gift to ourselves, is simply to provide the conditions, to send the signals, to step out of the way of what the body already knows how to do. Let that settle gently now. You don't need to do anything with it. Just let it rest alongside you, soft as a blanket, light as breath. In the next part, we will travel somewhere a little different, into the fascinating world of placebos in sport, in performance, in the quiet belief that shapes what the body can do. But that is ahead of us, as gentle as everything else. For now, the rain is on the roof, and the room is warm, and the night is doing what nights do, holding you carefully in the dark. There is a particular quality to deep night, a thickness to the quiet, as if the air itself has become softer and more forgiving. Even the sounds that exist feel muffled, gentle, like sounds heard from underwater or through a wall of warm fog. We have been traveling through the quiet science of belief and the body, and now let us go somewhere surprising, out onto a field, into a gymnasium, onto a track where feet hit the ground in a steady rhythm. Because the placebo effect does not only live in hospital rooms and clinical trials, it lives in sport, in performance, in the world of athletes pushing toward what they believe their bodies can do. A study with cyclists placed participants on stationary bikes and told them they were racing against their own best past performance. What the cyclist didn't know was that their virtual competitor, the screen showing them their previous performance, had been set slightly faster than their actual best, and the cyclists matched it. They went faster than they had ever gone before, exceeding what they had believed was their limit. The belief that they were only matching their own previous pace removed the psychological ceiling from their performance. This is not magic. It is the body doing exactly what it is capable of, and the mind, for once, not getting in the way. Humans are profoundly calibrated by expectation. We have a kind of internal model of what we can do, built up from all our past experiences, all the times we felt tired or strong or capable or not. And we tend to perform within that model. The placebo effect in sport is partly about expanding that model, about the body being given a new story about what it can do and rising to meet it. A grove of old trees has a particular kind of silence, not empty silence, but full silence, the kind that comes from everything being in its place, unhurried, patient, the old roots going deep, the canopy absorbing the world above. If you stood in such a grove for a long time, something in your nervous system would settle into that patience. The old silence would teach you silence. Caffeine is one of the most studied substances in sports science, and the placebo version of caffeine is fascinating. Athletes given capsules they believed contained caffeine, but which were actually empty, performed measurably better than when they thought they had taken nothing. The expectation of alertness, of heightened performance, of that particular edge that caffeine is associated with. Those expectations began to produce some of their own effects. The body prepared for caffeine performance and performed accordingly. This is not the same as saying caffeine doesn't work. It works very well, and partly through the placebo pathway, alongside its direct pharmacological effects. The interesting thing is how much of what we consume is doing its work partly through the story we believe about it. Altitude training, when athletes train at high elevation where there is less oxygen, produces real physiological adaptations. The body learns to use oxygen more efficiently. But here is a quiet detail. Some of the performance gains from altitude training persist longer than the physiological adaptations do. The athletes continue to perform better even after their blood chemistry has returned to normal sea level levels. Something in the expectation, in the identity of having trained hard and high, stays in the performance even after the direct effect has faded. The sea, early in the morning before anyone is swimming, has a particular quality of surface, still slightly glassy, the color of something between silver and pale blue. If you walked to the edge of it and simply stood there, the sound would do something to your breathing almost immediately. The rhythm of small waves is close to the rhythm of slow breathing. The body follows it easily and without being asked. Pain tolerance, how much discomfort a person can endure, is significantly shaped by belief and expectation. Athletes who believe they are highly trained, or who are in a context of high motivation, or who have been given a placebo they believe will improve their endurance, consistently show higher pain tolerance than in conditions without those beliefs. They can hold their hands in ice water longer. They can sustain effort at higher intensities. They can keep going past points where, without those beliefs, they would have stopped. This is not suffering more. It is the nervous system's threshold being gently moved by the confidence of belief. The body saying, in this situation, with this understanding, I can go a little further. There are plants in high alpine meadows, small, tight, clustered things growing close to the ground where the wind is fierce, that look fragile and are not fragile at all. They have simply learned to grow in the shape that fits the conditions. And there is something in that, the body, given the right belief conditions, growing into the shape of those beliefs. Not straining or forcing, simply following the direction the belief points. Professional athletes often have elaborate pre-performance rituals. The tennis player who bounces the ball the same number of times before every serve. The swimmer who adjusts goggles in a specific sequence. The soccer player who enters the field with a particular foot first. Science has studied these rituals and found something lovely. They genuinely reduce anxiety and improve performance, not because of any magical property of the specific actions, but because they create a state of familiar, settled expectation. The body, recognizing the ritual, receives the signal. We have done this before. We know how to do this. We are ready. The ritual of preparation is a conversation between the conscious self and the body. It is a way of saying, I am taking this seriously. I have prepared. I am sending you into this with intention, and the body, receiving that message, organizes itself accordingly. If you are falling asleep, that is the most wonderful thing. And if you are still here, still listening, still gently with us, thank you. Do leave a like if the science is easing you toward rest. It is a small thing that means a great deal. Recovery from exercise also has a strong placebo component. Athletes who believed they were taking an advanced recovery supplement, but who actually received a harmless placebo, reported less muscle soreness, felt ready to train again more quickly, and in some studies showed measurable differences in inflammatory markers. The belief in recovery sped recovery along. The body, told it was being well taken care of, leaned into the care. A bee returning to the hive in the late afternoon carries pollen in small golden packets on its legs. It has been doing this work all day, moving from flower to flower, and now it is coming home. There is something about that return, the hive's warmth, the known smell, the familiar dark interior, that the bee's small nervous system must register as rest, as arrival, as the end of the outward journey. And we, coming to the end of our own days, coming to our own familiar places of rest, have something like that in us too. The body knowing home, the body knowing here, now, you can stop. The mind's influence on physical recovery is something sports scientists have become increasingly interested in. Positive visualization, simply imagining the body working well, healing cleanly, moving smoothly, has been found to slightly but measurably support recovery in injured athletes. not as a replacement for physical treatment, but alongside it, adding something quiet and real. The brain sending optimistic signals into the healing tissue. And here is something to carry very gently. You are always, in some way, telling your body a story, whether you know it or not. Whether you intend to or not, the story of whether you are safe or threatened, rested or depleted, capable or not. The placebo effect is simply the clearest, most visible proof that those stories have weight, that they land somewhere real, and that, perhaps with kindness and patience, we can learn to tell them a little more carefully. The night is very deep now. The sounds outside, if there are any, are far away. Your body is warm and heavy and doing its slow, steady work. The heart is beating. The lungs are moving. The brain is processing gently all the soft information of the day, beginning to let it go. In the next part, we will turn toward something even quieter, the way placebos work in the context of chronic pain, and what that teaches us about the extraordinary patience of the body's healing systems. But that is for the next passage of this night. For now, rest. Let the athlete's body rest. Let the river go to the sea in its own time. Let the bee be home. There is something like moss on old stone, that particular shade of soft green-gray, that slight give under a fingertip, the coolness and the age of it. Imagine placing your palm flat against a mossy wall on a quiet morning, the stone holding centuries of still patience, the moss holding the memory of rain. We have moved through the mind, through sleep, through the body in motion. And now we arrive somewhere that requires a little more tenderness, the territory of chronic pain, pain that stays, pain that has been present for a long time, weaving itself into the days and nights of the person who carries it. The placebo effect in chronic pain is one of the most studied and most remarkable phenomena in all of medical research. And it is not simple, and it is not dismissive of the reality of the pain. It does not say, it's all in your head, in the diminishing way that phrase is sometimes used. It says something far more complex and far more respectful. The brain is involved in every experience of pain, and the brain is changeable, and belief can reach into that changeability and shift things. Pain is not a simple alarm. It is not just a signal sent from a damaged place in the body to a receiving station in the brain. It is constructed by the brain, actively, interpretively, shaped by context and meaning and expectation and fear and memory. The same injury produces very different pain experiences in different people and in the same person at different times, depending on what the brain makes of it. A soldier injured in battle sometimes reports feeling very little pain in the moment of injury. The brain, focused on survival, managing to suppress the pain signal entirely until safety is reached. While a person with no physical injury at all can experience severe pain if the brain is convinced that something is wrong. This is not weakness or drama. It is the brain doing exactly what brains do, constructing an experience based on all available information. And if pain is constructed by the brain, then the brain's beliefs about what is happening shape what is felt. This is where the placebo enters the story of chronic pain with such quiet power. Studies of people with chronic lower back pain, one of the most common forms of chronic pain in the world, have found that placebos produce significant relief in a substantial percentage of participants. Real, measurable relief that shows up in brain scans as changes in pain processing areas. The pain is not imagined. The relief is not imagined. Both are real. And the relief was produced by the brain's own capacity to modulate what it was constructing. A field of long grass in late summer, all leaning in the same direction in a slow wind. There is something hypnotic about that unified leaning. Everything moving together, unhurried, without any individual stalk making a particular effort, just yielding to the same gentle force. There is a concept called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change its own structure and chemistry in response to experience. It is now well established that the brain can rewire itself slowly and with the right conditions, away from patterns of chronic pain. The pain pathways that have been used so frequently they have become automatic can, over time, be quieted. New pathways toward ease, toward a different experience of the same physical sensations, can be strengthened. This does not happen quickly, and it does not happen through willpower or through pretending. It happens through exactly the conditions we have been talking about. Calm expectation, ritual, the steady accumulation of experiences that say, here is ease, here is ease, here is ease, until the brain begins to believe it more fully. Open-label placebos for chronic pain have been particularly interesting to researchers. People who were told honestly, this is a placebo, it contains no active medication, and were then given a brief explanation of how the placebo effect works, and were encouraged to take the pills consistently as a supportive ritual, and a meaningful proportion of them found relief. The honesty did not remove the effect. The body's capacity to respond to the ritual and the intention remained, even with full knowledge of what was being taken. The explanation given to participants matters, researchers found. If the placebo was presented as a powerful self-healing response that your brain can activate, framed in terms of the body's own capacity, the effect was stronger than if it was framed as a trick or an unusual coincidence. The story told about the mechanism shaped the magnitude of the response. We are, as a species, exceptional storytellers. And our stories about our own bodies matter enormously. The story of a body that is broken and beyond help leads to one kind of nervous system. The story of a body that is doing its best and has remarkable hidden capacities leads to another. Both stories can be true in different ways, but the second one opens a door, the first keeps closed. Do remember, if this kind of quiet exploration brings you peace, that there is a whole playlist on this channel. Stories about rain and forests and the deep quiet of the ocean floor, all soft, all science, all here for you whenever the night needs something gentle. A Japanese art form called kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold. The crack is not hidden. It is filled with something precious, and the repaired piece is considered more beautiful than the unbroken one. There is a philosophy in this that what has been through difficulty and been carefully mended carries something the unbroken thing does not. And the body, over time, in the right conditions, can kintsugi itself, can find, through the fractures, pathways of gold. The placebo effect in chronic conditions involves something called conditioning in a very deep way. The nervous system learns through repeated experience what responses belong to certain situations. A person who has experienced relief in a medical context will show some of that relief even when the specific treatment changes, because the context itself, the care, the ritual, the expectation, has become a conditioned trigger. The body knows this room, this type of interaction, these acts of care, and it begins to prepare its relief accordingly. Pavlov's famous dogs learned to salivate at a bell because the bell had been paired with food so many times that the bell itself became a signal for food. The immune system, it turns out, can be conditioned in a similar way. In studies with cancer patients receiving immunosuppressive drugs, a placebo given after the real drug, with the same taste, the same ritual, could produce some of the same immune effects as the real drug because the immune system had learned to respond to those signals, the body conditioning itself at a level far below conscious thought. The roots of old trees grow in networks beneath the forest floor. They share nutrients through fungal connections. Tiny white threads, thinner than a hair, running between roots, carrying sugars and signals in both directions. A tree that is struggling can be fed through this network by its neighbors, not because the neighbors make a conscious choice, but because the network's nature is to share, to respond to need, to move what is available toward where it is needed. The body is its own network. When one system is under stress, others reorganize to support it. When the mind offers an opening, a moment of genuine belief and ease, the network responds, moving its own resources toward the opening, toward the possibility of rest. There is nothing to be done with all of this except to receive it, to let it shift something very quietly in how you think about the relationship between your thoughts and your body, not as a strategy, not as self-improvement, just as information that might make you a little more gentle with yourself, a little more trusting that the body knows things you don't. That belief, carefully and kindly tended, is not naive. It is one of the most powerful things a human being can practice. The stars have been out for a while now. You may not be able to see them, but they are there. That reliable scatter of ancient light, patient above whatever clouds might be between you and them. Unchanged by the weather, unchanged by the hour. Part 7 continues just ahead, where we will travel into a truly lovely corner of placebo science, the world of color, of beauty, of the designed environments that support healing. But before that, just breathe. Feel the weight of your body against what is beneath you. That weight is real and steady, and it means you are here, right here. Color is everywhere around you, even in the dark of this moment, in memory, in imagination, in the warm tones behind your closed eyelids. Color is something the human brain processes constantly, automatically, often before conscious thought has a chance to form. And color, it turns out, is one of the softest and most consistent tools through which the placebo effect operates in the designed world, in the spaces that are built for healing and rest. Hospital design, the science of creating spaces that support recovery, has grown into a serious and fascinating field. Researchers have looked at everything: ceiling height, natural light, views of nature, acoustic design, the materials used in floors and walls. And color is one of the most studied variables because its effects are consistent enough to appear across cultures, across ages, across different types of health concerns. Soft greens and blues, the colors of shallow water, of leaves, of sky, tend to lower heart rate and blood pressure in research settings. They are processed by the visual system in a way that requires slightly less neural effort than reds and oranges, which draw attention and heighten alertness. The body, in the presence of soft green and blue, seems to exhale just slightly, to relax its readiness. A Japanese garden in autumn, the careful arrangement of maples, the raked sand, the one perfectly placed stone, is a designed environment for exactly this kind of relaxation. Every element is chosen to reduce effort, to calm the visual system, to say to the nervous system, "Here, there is nothing that requires you to be ready. You may look without needing to act on what you see." The view from a hospital window was the subject of a now classic study from the 1980s. Patients recovering from gallbladder surgery in rooms with windows overlooking trees recovered faster, needed fewer pain medications, and were discharged sooner than patients in otherwise identical rooms with windows facing a brick wall. The view of trees, that was the difference. The body, glancing at something living and natural, receiving a signal it has been tuned to receive for millions of years. This is safe. This is good. This is the world as it should be. A single plant in a room changes the air slightly, literally, through respiration, releasing small amounts of oxygen and water vapor. But it does something else too. Something to the feel of the room, to the attention. A plant is alive. It changes slowly. It responds to light, to water. It is not static in the way furniture is static. And the presence of something alive and growing seems to matter to the human nervous system in ways that go beyond the chemistry of the air. The sound environment of healing spaces has been studied carefully too. Constant harsh noise, alarms, machines, the sounds of an active medical facility raises cortisol levels and disrupts sleep even in people who believe they are habituated to it. Softer, more natural soundscapes, or even simply a reduction in sharp, unpredictable sounds, lower those same cortisol levels, improve sleep quality, and are associated with faster recovery. The sound of running water, as we mentioned at the beginning of this section, is a particular kind of balm. Its frequency distribution, its unpredictability, within a gentle overall rhythm, its associations with natural settings, all of these things land in the nervous system as ease, as a place where the body can let go of some of its watchfulness. Birds in a garden in the morning. You may have experienced this, waking to birdsong and something in you relaxing before you are even fully awake. Research confirms what that felt experience suggests. Birdsong is associated with lower stress responses in measurable physiological terms. The theory is evolutionary. Silence in a natural environment might indicate a predator's presence. Birdsong signals the absence of immediate threat. The birds are unconcerned. The birds are going about their morning. Everything is as it should be. If these stories bring you birds and soft colors in your mind as you drift, that is the most perfect thing. And if you have found your way here for the first time, perhaps from someone who recommended it, a warm welcome. There is a full playlist waiting for you when this story ends. Natural light, sunlight that changes through the day, regulates the body's internal clock in ways that artificial light cannot fully replicate. The spectrum of sunlight shifts from the blue-tinted light of morning, which promotes alertness and cortisol release, to the warm, amber-toned light of afternoon and evening, which eases the body toward rest. Electric light has disrupted this rhythm for many people, keeping eyes and brains in a state of mild daytime alertness well into the night. But even the memory of natural light, or the anticipation of it, can do something. Knowing that morning is coming, knowing that the light will change. The body's circadian clock is sensitive not just to the light itself, but to the expectation of the light. Schedules matter. The knowledge of what is coming matters. Expectation, again and always, is doing something. The smell of the ocean, that particular salt and iodine scent, slightly sharp and deeply familiar, has been found to have measurable calming effects. Some of it may be the negative ions in sea air, which are present in higher concentrations near moving water and have been associated with improved mood. And some of it is the vast network of associations that sea smell carries, of openness, of space, of the oldest boundary the land has, of something that does not change. We are creatures of the Pleistocene in our nervous system's deepest habits. We evolved in landscapes of trees and water and open savanna, in cycles of light and dark and season. And when we receive the signals of those ancestral landscapes, even in the attenuated form of a plant in a window, a recording of birdsong, a color on a wall, something old in us recognizes them. Something old in us says, I know this, I am okay in this, the placebo of beauty, the placebo of the designed world. The placebo of being placed by the care of someone else in an environment that says, you are worth beauty. You are worth the effort of this tree, this window, this soft color on this wall. Care itself is a placebo. The care that goes into a room, into a voice, into the specific choice of something beautiful for someone who is healing. That care is received by the body as information, as proof that it is worth caring for. And something in the nervous system, receiving that proof, relaxes its vigilance just slightly, lowers the drawbridge just slightly, allows the healing that it was working to achieve but could not quite reach while the drawbridge was up. A garden at dusk, the last light catching the tops of things while the lower world moves into shadow. The smell of earth and green and something slightly sweet, perhaps jasmine, perhaps some old rose climbing a wall. This is not a dramatic beauty. It is the quiet, patient kind that asks nothing of you except to be present for a moment with what is there. That is, perhaps, what all of this comes back to. Presence. The body and the mind in the same place at the same time, not splitting away from each other into worry or past or future, but simply here, in this breath, in this particular quality of light or sound or scent. That is where the placebo effect lives, in the full body agreement that this moment is real and safe and enough. The night deepens further. Part 8 waits ahead, where we will look at the global journey of placebos through history and culture, at the beautiful human creativity that has always found ways to meet the body's need for care and signal. But that too is soft. That too is easy. And you may be asleep before you reach it. If you are, rest well. Rest deeply. The story will be here in the morning. Rain, very soft, beginning somewhere in the distance. Not a rain that demands attention. The kind that simply arrives and settles into the background of everything, steady and kind. We have been moving through the science of the placebo effect like walking a river path at night. The water always nearby, the way always visible, nowhere to rush to. And now, let's go further back in time, into the history of this strange and beautiful human thing, the deliberate offering of care and symbol and ritual to the body in need. The history of medicine is, in very large part, a history of placebos, not by intention, but by outcome. For most of human history, the treatments available to healers had little direct pharmacological effect on disease. The herbs and poultices and roots and prayers were, in terms of active medicine, mostly benign. And yet people healed. People recovered. Sometimes more than they would have without any intervention at all. And part of what was happening was the placebo effect, the warm, human, ritualized attention of a healer creating in the patient's nervous system exactly the conditions for the body's own healing capacities to operate most freely. The shaman, the medicine woman, the apothecary, the physician with their bag of mysteries, all of them were doing something real, even when their specific treatments were doing very little. The relationship was the medicine. The ritual was the medicine. The warmth of being seen and attended to was the medicine. An elderflower blooming in a hedgerow. Small, pale, slightly sweet-smelling, part of a tradition of plant medicine that goes back further than any written record. The flowers made into cordial, into tea, into remedies for colds and flu and fever. The elderflower has compounds that may have modest antiviral properties, but it also has the weight of all those centuries of being given by someone who cared to someone who needed it. That weight is not nothing. That weight lands somewhere real in the receiving body. In ancient Egypt, medical papyri record elaborate remedies for ailments, mixtures of herbs and animal ingredients and minerals, given in specific ways at specific times, with specific words spoken over them. Modern analysis of these remedies shows that most of them would have had no direct medical effect, but the physicians of ancient Egypt were not failures. They were providing exactly what the placebo effect requires: attentive, ritualized, confident care, and their patients, receiving that care, felt its effects. The word heal and the word whole come from the same Old English root. To heal was to make whole, not merely to remove a symptom, but to restore a person to their full, integrated self. And that integration of body and mind and spirit, as the old healers would have said, or of nervous system and immune system and expectation and emotion, as modern science says, is exactly what the placebo effect, at its most powerful, achieves. In traditional Chinese medicine, the consultation before treatment is long and careful. The pulse is taken in several places. The tongue is examined. Questions are asked not just about the specific complaint, but about sleep, appetite, mood, relationships, the quality of energy at different times of day. The person is seen entirely. And then a treatment is offered that fits that entire person, not just the symptom. Whether or not the specific herbal formulas in traditional Chinese medicine have direct pharmacological effects, some do, some don't, and research is ongoing. The consultation itself is a powerful placebo delivery system. The person leaves the appointment feeling seen and met and treated as a whole human being. And their body, having received that signal, often begins to move in the direction of ease. Here, in the soft quiet of wherever you are, all of this history is present around you. Every human generation that has faced illness or pain or fear and reached out to another person for help. Every healer who has sat with someone and said, "I see you, I am here, I will try." That reaching and that responding, so ancient, so continuous, is part of what placebo is. You might like to share this story, if it reaches you tonight, with someone who needs a soft place to be, or who loves quiet science, or who simply needs something to float in while the day lets go. And if there is a comment forming in you, let it be there. It is always welcome. Ayurveda, one of the oldest systems of medicine in the world, originating in India, places enormous emphasis on oil massage, on the warming of the body, on the careful and rhythmic touch of a trained practitioner. Abhyanga, the Ayurvedic oil massage, involves long, slow strokes with warm sesame or other oil, performed in a particular sequence, with an attention and presence that is almost meditative in itself. The direct physiological effects include increased circulation and lymphatic movement, skin nourishment, the stimulation of sensory nerves. But the experience of being so carefully touched, so thoroughly attended to, the warmth of the oil in the hands, these things signal to the nervous system something so old and so fundamental. You are held. You are cared for. The world has arms. Touch is one of the oldest and most powerful placebo mechanisms. The body of a newborn infant that is held in touch develops differently than one that receives all necessary nutrition but no physical contact. The skin is an organ of enormous sensitivity and significance. It carries all its life the message of whether it is touched or not. And being touched with care, being touched as if the toucher is paying genuine attention to what is there, is one of the most direct ways to shift the nervous system toward ease. In the 18th century Europe, a physician named Franz Mesmer treated hundreds of patients with elaborate rituals involving magnets, music, and what he called animal magnetism, a force he believed flowed between beings and which he manipulated to restore health. His treatments were studied by a royal commission in France that included Benjamin Franklin, and the commission found no evidence of the magnetic fluid Mesmer proposed. But they also noted that patients often felt better. Something was happening. The commission didn't have the language of the placebo effect. That would come later. But they were seeing it. A creek in a forest carries whatever falls into it. Leaves, small stones, a lost feather. And it carries them gently, without preference, without effort, turning them in its current, softening their edges. The body, too, carries what falls into it, the impressions of the day, the signals of care and neglect, the messages of ritual and intention, and it turns them slowly in its own current, softening some things, building from others. Ancient Greek healing temples, the Asclepian sanctuaries, particularly the one at Epidaurus, were designed with extraordinary care. Patients would travel to them, sometimes great distances, and undergo a period of ritual preparation, fasting, bathing, prayer, offerings. Then they would sleep in the temple itself, the enkoimesis, the sacred sleep, in the hope of receiving a healing dream. In the morning, priests would interpret the dream and offer treatment advice. Modern researchers looking at the cure records from Epidaurus, inscriptions on stone, patients describing what afflicted them and how they were healed, find recoveries from conditions like paralysis, blindness, infertility, chronic pain. The body does extraordinary things when placed in the right conditions. Profound ritual, deep expectation, the full mobilization of belief in a context of extraordinary beauty and care. Epidaurus is set in hills, surrounded by trees, the acoustics of its theater designed to carry sound so perfectly that even a whisper from the center stage can be heard in the highest seats. It was built to overwhelm the senses with beauty and order and calm. It was built to tell the body, you are in the right place. Rest now. Trust now. Heal. Let that land quietly. Let it find its place among all the other soft things of tonight. In Part 9, we will turn to something that lives right at the heart of the placebo effect, the extraordinary, gentle phenomenon of the therapeutic relationship, and what happens between two nervous systems when one reaches out in care and the other receives it. The rain is steady now. The creek is carrying its leaves. The night is full and dark and warm. You are in the right place. Two hands, cupped together, holding water. The water conforms to the shape of what holds it, finding the space, filling it, being completely present to the shape it has been given. And when poured out, it was fully there for however long it was held. That is something like what happens in a therapeutic relationship, in the space between a healer and a person being healed. The healer's attention cups around the patient, and the patient fills that attention, fully present to it, receiving something that has a shape and a weight. The therapeutic relationship is one of the most researched aspects of placebo science, and what the research consistently shows is this: the quality of the relationship between a patient and their care provider has a measurable, independent effect on outcomes, over and above the specific treatments given. The relationship is doing something. What specifically is it doing? A number of things, researchers believe. A warm, attentive, confident care provider activates the patient's trust, and trust activates the descending pain modulation systems we talked about earlier. A care provider who takes time to listen reduces the patient's anxiety, and reduced anxiety has direct effects on immune function, on pain experience, on the body's overall regulatory systems. A care provider who believes in their treatment, who has genuine confidence that what they are offering will help, communicates that confidence in dozens of subtle ways, through tone of voice, through posture, through the unhurried quality of their attention, through the way they speak about what is being done. And the patient's nervous system reads all of those signals, integrates them, and responds. The forest at night does not sleep exactly. The trees continue their quiet photosynthesis as long as there is any light. And even at night, their metabolic processes continue slowly, the sap moving in the dark, the roots drawing water, the mycorrhizal networks carrying their chemical messages. The forest is in a state of deep, active, living quiet, not absence, fullness at rest. A landmark study of acupuncture provided a fascinating window into the therapeutic relationship. Participants were divided into several groups. One group received real acupuncture in a warm, attentive, engaged interaction with a practitioner who spent time listening and expressed genuine care and confidence. Another received the same real acupuncture in a brief, business-like interaction with minimal rapport. A third received sham acupuncture, needles placed incorrectly, no actual therapeutic effect intended, but in the warm, engaged interaction. The warm sham acupuncture outperformed the cold, real acupuncture. The relationship was the dominant factor. The needle was less important than the person holding it. The treatment was less important than the quality of attention in which it was given. This is not a criticism of acupuncture or of any other treatment. It is a revelation about what healing is at its most fundamental. It is relational. It happens between people in the space their attention creates together. And this has been true, likely, since the first member of our species reached out to help another. Oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone, though it does many things, is released during experiences of warm social contact, during touch, during eye contact held with trust, during the experience of being genuinely listened to. And oxytocin has effects throughout the body, on anxiety, on pain, on immune function, on the feeling of safety. It is the body's own response to the presence of care. When a trusted person says, "You will feel better soon," if the person saying it believes it, and the relationship is one of genuine care, the nervous system of the listener begins to shift toward the state that will make that prediction more likely to come true. The body moves toward what it is told by someone it trusts, with love. The moon and the tide. The tide does not resist the pull. It simply responds as it has always responded, as the whole ocean has always responded. The body, in the presence of trusted care, can do something like that. Stop resisting and simply respond to the pull of being told, "It will be okay." In pediatric medicine, a parent's presence has measurable effects on a child's pain experience. Children in post-operative pain report less pain and require less medication when a calm, reassuring parent is present. Not because the parent does anything specific, but because the nervous system of the child, reading the calm of the trusted person, adjusts its own alarm level accordingly. If the person who knows everything is calm, then perhaps things are not so terrible. The body follows the signal, and adults are not so different, though we grow more private about it. The presence of a trusted person during a medical procedure, during pain, during illness, it does something. It is not weakness or dependency. It is the nervous system's appropriate response to a resource that genuinely helps it regulate. You might like to remember this when you are next in the position of caring for someone, that your presence, your calm, your genuine warmth is not just emotionally comforting, but physiologically real. You are, in those moments, participating in the other person's healing. Your nervous system is, in some small way, helping to regulate theirs. This is not a responsibility to be heavy about. It is a beautiful thing about how we are built. The concept of dose in therapeutic relationships has been studied. How much time a care provider spends with a patient, how attentively they listen, whether they sit or stand, whether they touch the patient gently, whether they use the patient's name. All of these doses have been measured and all have effects. A care provider who sits rather than stands during a consultation is rated as more caring and produces better outcomes. Sitting communicates, "I am here. I am not about to leave. I am present to you." What a small thing. And what a real thing. The simplest care in the world. Someone sitting beside you, genuinely present, not hurrying, can shift something in the body. It is the oldest medicine. It precedes every herb, every surgery, every pharmaceutical. Before any of those existed, there was a person sitting beside another person, and that was doing something somewhere in the world right now. This exact thing is happening. Someone is sitting beside someone else, not fixing anything, just being there, and the person being sat beside, whether they know it or not, is responding. The cortisol is softening, the heart rate is following, the nervous system is receiving the signal, I am not alone. This is not an emergency. Rest in that thought gently. Let it be a comfort for whatever it is that sometimes makes the night feel less safe. You are in the long chain of human caregiving that runs all the way back to the beginning of our species held. Part 10 is ahead, and it will carry us into the world of placebos and emotion, of how feelings move through the body and how belief shapes the chemistry of mood. It is a quiet and very human corner of this story, but perhaps you are already somewhere deep in rest. Perhaps the rain and the steady facts and the soft walk through history have done what they do. If so, stay there. The story will keep. The deep night has a particular quality of stillness that the early evening does not have. It is not the quiet of waiting. It is the quiet of having. Everything that was going to settle has settled. The temperature has found its level. The sounds have found their level. The world is in its most complete version of rest. We have been moving through the science of belief and the body with something close to that kind of completeness. The feeling of a subject that is being known slowly from many sides. And now, emotion. The middle ground between thought and body. The place where the two are most clearly inseparable. Emotions are not only felt, they are experienced physically. Fear contracts the chest and accelerates the heart. Sadness releases chemicals that create a literal heaviness in the limbs. Joy expands the posture, opens the breath, floods the brain with dopamine and serotonin. Emotions are the body thinking, and the body is the emotion being felt. They are the same thing, seen from two different angles. And emotions, like pain, like sleep, like every other physical process we have talked about, are shaped by belief, by expectation, by the context in which they are experienced. A raindrop on a window slides down, joins another, the two of them now one, continuing together. And then they reach the sill and stop. For a moment, they hold everything. The outside cold, the inside warmth, the distance traveled. Antidepressants are among the most studied medications in placebo research for a reason that is both interesting and somewhat humbling. The placebo response in depression trials is famously large. Somewhere between 30 and 40% of people in clinical trials who receive a placebo show significant improvement in their depression symptoms. This has complicated the interpretation of antidepressant trials for decades. Not because antidepressants don't work, many do, but because the placebo component is substantial. What does this tell us? That the experience of being carefully attended to, of having one's suffering taken seriously, of being enrolled in a process of care, of being given something to take and a reason for hope. All of these things move the nervous system toward something, toward ease. The biological substrate of depression, the dysregulation of serotonin and dopamine, and the HPA axis can be shifted partially and temporarily by the experience of being cared for. This is not a small thing. It is a profound thing about what depression is. Not simply a chemical imbalance in isolation, but a condition that exists within a relational, contextual nervous system, responsive to the signals of care and hopelessness alike. The concept of meaning response, proposed by anthropologist Daniel Moorman as an alternative to the word placebo, captures something important. The placebo effect, he suggests, is really the meaning response, the body's response to the meaning of the situation it is in. Meaning is biological. The meaning we make of our experience is not separate from the experience. It is woven into every physical response we have. When an experience feels meaningful, when we feel held within something larger, whether that is a ritual, a relationship, a story, a tradition, the body responds. It is, in some deep sense, comforted. And that comfort is not illusion. It is one of the most real things there is. Wild geese flying in formation make a sound that is half cry and half rhythm, something steady and purposeful that fills the autumn sky. Below them, turning upward to watch, something in a human chest responds. Something about the purposefulness of it, the pattern of it, the sheer aliveness of it, touches something that has no simple name. The placebo effect and the meaning response are at work in music, not just in the associations and memories that music carries, though those are powerful, but in the structure of music itself, in the movement from tension to resolution, from dissonance to consonance, in the way a melody rises and falls. The nervous system follows those movements the way it follows breath. When the music resolves, something in the body resolves with it. The brain's reward pathways fire. The muscles soften slightly. Something like pleasure, something like relief. Grief, too, moves through the body as a physical process. And placebos, in the broad sense of the word, have been part of human responses to grief for as long as we have records. Ritual mourning, gathering together, the specific foods brought to a grieving house, the flowers laid on a grave. None of these things bring the lost person back, but they do something for the nervous system of the person who grieves. They create a structure, a form, a container for the formlessness of loss. And the body, receiving that structure, has somewhere to put the feeling. Candles lit in a dark place. The body of someone who is grieving in a room with candles, watching them. The light moves. It is not still. It breathes. And the person watching, in a state where the nervous system is overwhelmed and seeking any signal of steadiness, finds something in the candle's breathing that says, "This is still going. This is still here." The placebo effect in emotional experience is, at its root, the effect of being given form for formlessness, of being offered a structure, a ritual, a relationship, a story that allows the vast and moving thing inside to have an outside shape, to be held in something, a nest woven from grass and soft things, lined with feathers, small and precise, and built with such specific care. Something that lives inside a nest, warmed by it, is not separate from the care that built it. The care is present in every fiber. Sleep, and the approach to sleep, is itself an emotional experience. The end of the day is a kind of laying down, not just of the body, but of everything the day carried. The concerns and encounters and small frictions and moments of warmth. We lay them down. We say, without words, I can let go of this until morning, and the morning will be able to hold them if they need to be held. But for now, down. Let it go down. If these nights of soft science have become part of your ritual of letting go, that is perhaps the most accurate use of everything we have talked about. The ritual itself, the choosing of this, the settling in, the following of this voice through these ideas, is your own placebo, your own signal to the body. It is time. It is safe. We are going to rest now. And that is not a small thing. Part 11 waits in the soft distance, carrying us into the extraordinary science of placebos in the body's immune system, which is perhaps the most unexpected and most wonderful territory we will visit. But first, feel how heavy your eyelids are. Feel how the breath has slowed. You are already, in some real and measurable sense, healing. There is a kind of morning, the one that comes in late winter or early spring, when the light arrives just slightly earlier than you expected, and you notice it as something new, something returned. A pale gold on the ceiling before the alarm. The trees outside just beginning to hold that warmth. Everything very still in the moment before the day starts. Hold that image lightly as we go a little further. The immune system, that vast distributed network of cells and signals and memory. The body's own intelligence for recognizing what belongs and what doesn't, for defending, for remembering, for healing. It is extraordinary in its complexity and in its sensitivity. And it, too, is in conversation with the brain. The immune system and the nervous system speak to each other in a constant, quiet dialogue. Through hormones, through neurotransmitters, through direct neural connections. They are not separate systems that occasionally interact. They are aspects of a single integrated organism, always in contact. This means, and here is the extraordinary part, that beliefs and expectations communicated to the nervous system can travel onward into the immune system and affect what it does. The field that studies this is called psychoneuroimmunology, a word that is much larger than it needs to be for something that comes down to your thoughts talk to your immune cells. A honeybee on a flower, the proboscis finding the nectary, the wings still, the whole small body focused on the sweetness of this one moment. And in the hive, that bee's chemistry will communicate what it found, the distance, the direction, the quality. The system is all connected. Information moves through it completely. The conditioning experiments we mentioned earlier, the ones showing that the immune system can learn to respond to placebo signals, represent one of the most remarkable findings in all of placebo science. The original work was done in the 1970s and 1980s by a researcher named Robert Ader, who discovered, while studying something entirely different, that a saccharin-flavored drink could suppress the immune system in rats, not because of any property of saccharin, but because the drink had been paired with an immunosuppressive drug until the immune system had learned that the taste meant suppression. Even without the drug, the immune system responded to the conditioned signal. This finding overturned what had been assumed about the immune system, that it was autonomous, self-regulated, separate from learning and experience. It was none of those things. It was part of the same organism that learned and remembered and responded to meaning. In humans, this conditioning has been demonstrated in a number of ways. People with autoimmune conditions have been successfully maintained on lower doses of immunosuppressive drugs by pairing the real dose with a conditioned stimulus, a specific taste or smell that the immune system learns to respond to. The drug dose is reduced. The conditioned stimulus is given instead on some occasions. The immune system, responding to the familiar signal, continues to show some suppression. The dose is in the learning as much as in the chemical. A mossy stream bank, the way the bank is soft and slightly damp, the moss a living sponge for water, the ground giving slightly underfoot. You could sit here and trail your fingers in the cold water and feel very safe, very held by the earth. Stress is one of the most direct pathways through which emotion reaches the immune system. Chronic stress, the low, steady kind, not dramatic peaks, but the baseline hum of ongoing concern, suppresses immune function in consistent and measurable ways. It increases inflammatory markers. It slows wound healing. It reduces the effectiveness of vaccines. The body, mobilizing its resources for a threat that never quite resolves, diverts resources for maintenance and immunity. And the reverse is also true. Conditions that reduce chronic stress, social connection, laughter, time in nature, the experience of meaning and purpose, improve immune function in measurable ways, not dramatically, not in ways that replace medicine, but in ways that are real, consistent, and accumulating over a lifetime. Laughter is one of the most studied positive emotional states in terms of immune effects. Studies have found increased natural killer cell activity, part of the immune response to cancer and viral infection. Increased immunoglobulin levels in saliva, decreased cortisol, after sessions involving genuine, sustained laughter. The body does not distinguish between laughter at something and laughter at nothing. It simply responds to the physical event of laughing, to the breath and the relaxation, and the shift in the face and the chest, which is, in its own gentle way, a placebo. The laughter is the signal. The immune improvement is the response. The signal came first, created by meaning and relationship and comedy, and the body followed. A field of sunflowers turns through the day with the sun, following it from east to west in that slow, communal turning. They do not hurry. They do not turn faster when the sun moves faster. They simply respond in their own pace to the light. And the immune system, too, turns toward what nourishes it, slowly, responsively, in its own time. Loneliness, the chronic experience of feeling unseen and unconnected, is now well established as a significant risk factor for immune dysfunction, for inflammation, for earlier death. Not because loneliness is a personality flaw or a choice, but because the nervous system evolved to exist in social groups where survival depended on connection, reads loneliness as threat, reads it as danger, and operates metabolically accordingly, staying vigilant, staying inflammatory, diverting resources from repair. The placebo effect at this deepest level is an antidote to loneliness because it is always relational. It always involves someone offering care and someone receiving it. Even the open-label placebo, where the person knows they are taking a sugar pill, is given by someone in a context of attention and warmth and genuine desire to help. The aloneness is briefly interrupted. The nervous system receiving that interruption relaxes. You are not alone in this night. Even here, listening to this, there is someone who thought about what words to say, who cared what you would feel. This is a small and soft connection. Company of something gentle. The light company of something gentle. The light before dawn is not the light of day. It is a different quality entirely. Almost colorless, the world revealed in layers of gray and pale blue. And in that light, the birds begin before the sun has fully arrived. The song is already happening before the source of the day is visible. Something in us is a little like that. We begin to move toward morning before morning quite arrives. The body knows what is coming. It prepares. It trusts the sequence that has always been there. Part 12 waits with a beautiful and unexpected piece of this story, the science of placebo effects in animals, and what that quiet research reveals about where the effect comes from and what it really is. But first, breathe, slow and deep. The immune system is doing its work. The night is doing its work. The story is almost complete. All is very well. May whatever the night holds for you be held in a kinder light. May the breathing slow and the heart follow. May the part of you that worries find for these hours something it trusts enough to rest in. May the morning, when it comes, arrive to a body that has done its deep, patient work in the dark. The Sleepy Science channel is right here whenever you need it. There are more stories in the playlist, forests that breathe, and oceans that hold their history, and stars that have been traveling their light toward you for longer than you can quite imagine. All of it is here. All of it is soft. Thank you for being here tonight, for following this story all the way to its end, or for letting it carry you somewhere else before the end arrived, which is perhaps the most perfect kind of listening there is. Close your eyes now, if they are not already closed. Let the weight of your body be real and complete and held. Let the breath move on its own. The world is doing what it does. The stars are there. The water is moving. The trees are in their quiet conversation with the air. You are here. You are warm. You are safe. Sleep now. This has been a Sleepy Science story on the Sleepy Science channel. If this brought you peace, a like or a comment means the world. And the full playlist is waiting whenever the night needs somewhere soft to go.